Hello, hello, welcome back. This is episode, I've lost count, of Frosthaven, and I am Frosthaven a good time. Gonna make that joke every single episode. We wandered into Frosthaven, we defeated an Algox offensive, and won over one of the Algox factions in the Heart of Ice. And then we went to the edge of the world. And I wanted to start on this scene up here because we have unlocked the Jagged Shoals and the Frozen Fjord on account of defeating a frozen corpse with some sort of crystal shard in its eye, which is now talking to us, so that's normal. I feel like that's probably good, right? Anyway, I left off at the end of last scenario going into an outpost phase, and I wanted to actually like go through the outpost phase with you. I already have it all planned out, but I just thought, you know, I would like to demonstrate to people how the entire game works, but I don't want to do it all at once, and I've kind of fast forwarded through some outpost phases. I think this time, though, I will actually like kind of go through the rulebook with you and make sure that I am explaining everything that's happening and doing it all properly and stuff like that. So, the first thing that happens in the outpost phase is the passage of time, and what that means is that we mark here, and if we marked a box which had some numbers in it, like these were written on the campaign sheet when I started the campaign. This is something that I wrote at the end of one of my missions. Anyway, if it has numbers on it, we'll go read that section. But in this case, there's nothing here except an H, which is used by the event deck for a road event that we had on the way to our last mission. The next thing that happens is an outpost event. So we go to Summer Outpost Events, and we say, new event, please. It's almost time to head out on your next mission, but you have a few minutes to kill. You decide to stop by the crater, the burned out drinking spot where a tavern used to be, hoping to find a drink. Instead, you find Zane, your sometimes friend and always trouble. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen, and Savas. Ladies, gentlemen, and Savas, get the latest odds right here. Will Frosthaven's favorite mercenaries return triumphantly, or will they succumb to the treacherous, harsh wasteland never to be seen again? Zane turns to collect a gold piece from a Valrath behind him and notices you. Oh, just a minute, folks. The Orchid rushes over to you. Hey there, friends. I didn't see you there. Sometimes we take a little poll on whether you'll make it back. A poll for money. Thought crosses his face. Say, you wouldn't want to get in on this, would you? You could actually make a lot of money betting on yourself. I would love to, actually. So, what I have written down here is all of my current materials and gold and all the stuff that I'd like to do this outpost phase. And I have definitely noticed that I'm running a little bit low on gold. So I think what I'll do is bet some gold on my success. And then if I win the mission, I'll get gold, right? All characters resolve the following immediately. Lose up to 10 gold. Ah, wow. You're quite the gambler. I wouldn't bet on these odds. Zane flashes you a smile that could warm an Algox's heart. Record the amount lost. If the next scenario is completed successfully, gain double the lost amount of gold. Okay, so we're going to do that. I only have 8 gold floating in this outpost phase. I have not gotten as much gold recently as I did at the start, and I've been building structures that require 2 gold per week to work and also cost 10 gold to build. So once upon a time I felt very wealthy, but as it is for this event, all I get to do is bet 8 gold on a mission success with Muck Duck, and nobody else unfortunately gets to use any gold. Oh, I have 2 gold there. I didn't realize that. In that case, I guess everything I wrote was wrong. I guess I get to bet 10 gold here. So, my goal is to eventually have like 120 gold on Muck Duck so we can get this retirement done, but I'm currently going the wrong direction. Also, I have this feeling, now that I understand that every time you retire a character, you get a building. I have a feeling that when you retire a merchant class quest, you probably get a merchant where you can buy items. And I feel like that would be cool to do. So someday it would be nice to do all of this with Xenia Zephyr, but that's quite a lot to do. Anyway, we have bet 10 gold with Muckduck. The event is resolved. That is all good. After the Outpost event, we go to building operations. So we work our way through here from left to right and do what it says at the top half of the card. So we can collectively buy a hide for 2 gold. I would love to. Who wants it? How many hides am I left with at the end? 3? 1. I'm left with 1 hide at the end. I guess I'll give it to Xenia Zephyr. So, +1 hide for you. Given that I want you to be a merchant someday, I guess I need to give you resources to actually build items with. And that costs me 2 gold. And then the next thing is I have a logging camp where I can buy a lumber for 2 gold. So I will be doing that as well. And I think I'm just going to put that here too. Why not? The rest of the building phase, I could train a soldier. I think I'm a little light on gold right now to be able to do that, unfortunately. So that's not going to be happening right now. I do have reason to build a boat now at the workshop, but, well, 2 things. 1, I can't really afford it, I don't believe. 2, it counts as a build. So if I want to build 2 things in the same build phase, it costs me 2 town morale. I'm already building the mining camp, is my current plan. So those are my building operations. Then we do downtime. So thing number 1, downtime, we will level up. Here is the stuff about leveling up. There's actually quite a lot of stuff here. But anyway, we're just going to walk through it 3 times because I have 3 characters leveling up here. So first we'll do Xenia Zephyr. When we level up, we can check this box and say we have leveled up, and go over here. We get +2 max HP. So now I have 12 max HP on my Bannerspear. We get to choose from the ability cards, which we have unlocked but not added to our pool yet. So the level 2 cards for Bannerspear are Meat Grinder, which is another one of these positional attack cards. I find them, at least in this party, I find them kind of like more trouble to set up than they are worth. Like, you can just make the ranged attacks with the Bannerspear and they deal almost the same amount of damage and don't require you to work extremely hard to make it happen. The bottom half of the card is definitely good. It's a move for 3 and heal and regenerate a target at 1 range that could target yourself. That's just a good bottom half of a card. Generally speaking, I think the cards you unlock are going to be better than at least some of your starter cards. The card that I would like though is Pinning Charge. So this deals 2 damage at 3 range, which, like my Bannerspear, you may have noticed, even though it's a somewhat tanky character, is having some trouble being at the front of the team. We're just kind of having trouble keeping up while moving our banner around. So a nice thing about this card is the bottom half of it says grant 3 allies within 4 range a move of 2. So it's another card that helps me move my banner around, which frees me up to use the cards that can give allies movement for other things if I want. And then the top of it is just great. If I channel air, I get to attack at 4 range, and then I add +1 damage for each ally adjacent to the target, which I think is very good in this party with the summons that I have and the fact that I'm playing with 4 characters. So we're going to add Pinning Charge to our card pool. Now every mission we get to choose 10 cards from that. So if I want to add this to my active cards, I will have to take 1 out. And that is definitely something I can think about. I think Incendiary Throw is a pretty easy one to take out. This card is you know, doing okay in some situations, but there are going to be lots of missions where it's just not appealing at all. Missions where the enemies have lots of shield, missions where we want to be quick, stuff like that. In fact, I'm just going to make the trade right now. And then the last thing that happens is we get a perk when we level up. So I wanted to go with ignore item -1 effects and remove 1/-1 card from the attack modifier deck. Goodbye -1 card. Weird. I've removed other -1 cards, right? I guess maybe I'll put it in there. Whatever. Okay. That's the entire level up. It's not too bad. There isn't that much to do. I think I successfully got loot for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Next up is Muckduck, the Drifter, who has 67 experience. We hit level 2. We have 12 experience, or 12 health rather. And for Muckduck, the cards we're choosing between are Shockwave. On your next 6 melee attacks targeting an enemy adjacent to any other enemy, one enemy adjacent to the target suffers 2 damage. So there are 2 things that are nice about this, beyond just dealing 2 more damage with a melee attack. One is it goes through shield. Another is it doesn't trigger retaliation. The downside of it is it doesn't do anything if the enemy you're targeting doesn't have anyone adjacent to them. But like, usually I feel there's going to be some way to get this card to proc. Also, the bottom half of it, move 3 and shield for 1 for the turn, that's just pretty good. Like, for our character who is often the one in charge of opening doors, that just seems quite useful. 17 initiative, also great. So we're going to grab Shockwave, and in order to get it into my active cards, I think my plan is to take out... I've already taken out Precision Aim. Okay. I might take out Sustained Momentum, which gives me more movement on my next 6 move abilities. I think it will be obvious if I need that card for a mission, but like usually my Drifter isn't going to be the slowest character in my party, and so there is a limit to how good it can be to make my Drifter even faster, because often all of my characters have to get from one place to another, and if my Drifter is faster than everyone else, then like whatever. Everforward I am not going to be taking. Card's fine. It's a ranged attack, which doesn't really blend with the persistent powers that I'm choosing. Regenerate on self is extra good with continuous health, which makes all heals heal for +2, because Regenerate heals you for 1 at the start of each turn. It is a heal for 1, so it would be a heal for 3 instead. However, Regenerate on self, Regenerate falls off if you ever take damage, and my Drifter takes a lot of damage. So, bottom half of the card, heal 1, 3 targets within 3 range. Probably useful sometimes. I don't feel super excited about it though. And then we do get a perk with our Drifter as well. I wanted to go with ignore item -1 effects and add a +1 card. And the reason that I care about ignore item -1 effects is I'm about to buy some armor with my Drifter, and some items, armor items in particular, put -1 modifiers into your attack modifier deck, making you less good at killing things, basically. Next up is my Boneshaper. My Boneshaper just gets +1 health, I believe. Yeah, +1 health per level up. Although 7 health is significantly more than 6 health for the Boneshaper. We have a lot of cards that deal us 2 damage, and we very rarely take damage from actual enemies. And so this is kind of like saying I get to play 1 more card before I have to start healing, which is great. I get to choose between Unearthed Horror. Top half of this summons a Raging Corpse. This is another summon. It has 6 health, 2 move, 3 attack. It's a much more powerful summon than like my skeletons. Unfortunately, this does burn the card, and it's a melee summon. And with the size of my party, it feels very hard to even have a hex for a melee summon to attack from a lot of the time. So I think this is just not that appealing. Bottom half of the card, grant one of your summons, poison all enemies within 1 range. This also doesn't feel that useful to me. It's hard to imagine my summons being surrounded by enemies without already being dead. I feel kind of like Unearthed Horror is probably better if you are playing at the difficulty the game is actually balanced for, but playing at the difficulty I am playing at, 6 health is just going to get one shot way too often for it to be appealing. For this card to be good, it kind of needs to be able to survive one hit so that you can heal it up the next turn and have it keep fighting. And yeah, I mean, that's not happening. Not consistently happening at the difficulty I'm playing. And I really want Bone Dagger, so I mean, that's the other reason that I'm not taking it. Bone Dagger, top half of this, deals 4 and curses an enemy at melee range and adds +1 damage for each of your summons. So if I have like 2 summons, that'll hit for 6. Not terrible. Channels Dark as well. It does lose the card to do that. But the bottom half of Bone Dagger is what I'm more excited about. 29 initiative, also good on Boneshaper because my initiative values are very bad. But bottom half of the card curses an enemy at 2 range or 4 range if I can consume Dark to do it, which obviously is a bit easier in my party because the Deathwalker also makes Dark. Oh, also on turn 1 I channel Dark when I make my Wraith. Oh, that's actually kind of awesome. So on turn 1 I get to Bone Dagger. Yeah, that's great. It says, if the target dies this round, immediately play a card from your discard pile to perform a summon action of the card, reducing any damage you suffer by 2. Okay, actually I don't get to play it turn 1, I guess. But yeah, the idea here is on turn 1, I will play a skeleton card. Either I will summon a skeleton and have it die immediately, or I will play the other half of the card and put the summon skeleton card into my discard pile. And then on turn 2, I can play the bottom half of Bone Dagger and have it actually do something. Because my Boneshaper has trouble having the bottom half of cards do anything. It's just very noticeable that usually they're not achieving very much for this character. So let's definitely get this in the deck. And I think I can take out Malicious Conversion again. Probably I can also take out Dark Tidings because I don't need to worry about not using any basic actions, which means I can move with the bottom half of cards again. Command the Wretched back in. It's just a pretty good top half of the card for damage. Maybe this is wrong. Might be wrong. And then for my perk for my Boneshaper, I'm going to take Ignore Scenario Effects and add 2 +1 cards. I think ignoring Scenario Effects is great, and we're also getting 2 +1 cards. Like, are you kidding me? That's really good. We'll make those Wraith attacks a little bit better, etc., etc., etc. I don't know if as you get further into the game, the scenario effects become worse. Like, conceptually, I would think that they would, but also a lot of the early game scenarios have pretty bad scenario effects already, so maybe I'm just wrong. While Achilles Tamir already leveled up, so won't be leveling up here. We are 23 experience away from being level 3, though, at which point all of the missions, all of the enemies on missions will go up 1 level when my first party member hits level 3. So that's something I like actively want to prevent happening if I can, kind of. I did get another perk. I got another double checkmark perk somehow. So in 4 missions, I have gotten 9 checkmarks, which feels like it's got to be the maximum possible. That means I get another perk, and I decided that what I wanted to do with this perk was replace a +0 card with a +1 damage and curse card. And the reason that I was thinking this would be good was I was thinking particularly about the card I have that muddles all enemies around a shadow and hits them all for 1. That makes quite a lot of attacks and doesn't deal much damage. And I just thought making that also add a curse to the enemy deck would be really good. I thought also about +2 and Channel Dark, but I think I will have Dark channeled already a lot of the time that I draw this card in this party, so that didn't seem as good. And in terms of like replacing a -1 card with a +1 card, often when I'm like attacking for 1 in an AoE, Going from a -1 to a +1, like, yeah, it's okay, but probably like the enemies have 1 shield or something anyway. Like, it probably only deals 1 damage a decent amount of the time. Because it would make it so instead of dealing 0, I was dealing 2, but then the enemy has 1 shield, so it's just 1 anyway. Whereas going from +0 to +1 against an enemy with 1 shield, that also increases my damage by 1, and also I get a curse out of it. So that seemed a little bit more appealing to me. I get to take a +0 card out of this deck. Oops. Oops. Okay. Cool. So that is all of the leveling up and perks. Why did I just shuffle this? That was silly. Oh well. Now we get to do the next part of downtime. So level up, then retire characters. We don't have to retire any characters. Then create characters. We don't have to create characters. Then we can craft items. So I've actually written this stuff down out of order. I guess I already knew that. Anyway, I do want to craft some items here for sure. And I have a list. I would like to craft crude hide armor for Muck Duck. I don't have armor on Muck Duck yet, and making it so attackers get disadvantage against me just seems pretty good in situations where I haven't managed to do that with a card already. I should be able to get to a point where, like, most of the time that enemies are attacking me, they have disadvantage. I also want a crude shield for Muck Duck. So this costs 2 hides, and this costs 1 metal, and you can note both of them in the lower left here have -1 cards attached to them. So that's why it was important for me to take the perk that made it so I wasn't affected by -1s on item cards. We got crude hide armor, we got a crude shield, and actually, as of right now, Muck Duck is using as much equipment as he possibly can. I could still get more equipment to like trade items out. Like I might think, oh, this is against the crab enemies, they have a lot of piercing, so having a protective scepter to give an ally shield doesn't seem nearly as useful here. Also, what is going on with that scepter? It has like party beads on it or something. I'm confused. I've never seen that before, and now I'm just really confused, honestly. Yeah, so I could still get more items on that character for sure, or I could decide like, oh, this item's just better than the other ones I have, so I'm going to get it. But at least we have all of the item slots filled up and have items that do something in them. And also I want crude boots for Achilles Tamir. These cost 2 hides. All they do is during my movability, I can move 1 more tile. That will definitely sometimes be useful, and I can't make them. Oh, interesting. Okay, never mind. I guess I'm not making them. For some reason, I thought I had 2 hides there, but I clearly do not. All right, so no hides means I don't get any boots. You spend 2 hides and a metal here. Yeah, characters can only build items for themselves using the resources that they themselves have, which is kind of an interesting dynamic. I guess, well, let's see. At the end of all of this, I will see how much stuff I have left, and maybe I can build a protective scepter with the Zephyr. This stuff is all, I believe, allowed to be done in different orders if you want. So if I wanted to craft all my items after I brewed my potions, that would be allowed. Which means I don't mind going to brew potions now, and if I want to come back and craft some items, I can. Oh, it's fun to move the stuff around on the map. Muck Duck went to the craftsman. Yeah. Sorry, I just enjoy that a lot. So, we have so many potion resources because we had the road event that gave 3 corpse cap. Also, we got, I think we may have gotten every potion resource that's been in a loot deck so far in this campaign. Maybe that isn't true. There was the mission where I only got like 10 things from the loot deck. I probably didn't get all 3 there. What is 2 or more of the same? Is that the same as this? Probably. Anyway. I have some potions to brew. So first, I've never seen these, by the way, so this is new for me. First, I want to brew Arrowvine plus Corpse Cap. What's this one? A Cure Potion. During your turn, remove one negative condition you have. This item can be used while you have Do Not Use items or Stunned. That seems like an item for either Muckduck or Zinnia Zephyr. I'm gonna give it to Muckduck, I think. Seems like the character who's going to run into issues with debuffs the most. So I need to get rid of an Arrowvine and a Corpse Cap in order to do that. There's a Corpse Cap, there's an Arrowvine. Perfect. Next. We have a Corpse Cap and a Snow Thistle. So this one's Snow Thistle, that one's Corpse Cap. This is a poison vial. During your turn, poison something within one range of you. Cool. I don't hate the idea of this being on my Deathwalker, who is like the remaining character who doesn't have a potion yet. I also don't hate the idea of it being on my Boneshaper, but we need to hit level 3 before we can use a second potion. So I think I'll just put it on Achilles Tamir. I will not always be standing next to enemies with my Deathwalker, that is for sure. But I think the value of this is high enough that I will make myself sometimes. The character who is usually standing next to enemies is my Drifter. My Drifter already has 2 potions, so... I might actually just give it to my Drifter. I don't know who else ever stands next to enemies, to be honest. Everybody else has to go out of their way to achieve that. It means I don't have a potion still. Anyway, Corpse Cap and a... This is a Snow Thistle, I believe. Next, I wanted to make a Corpse Cap and a Rock Root. So this is a Rock Root, that's a Corpse Cap. A Stone Skin Potion. During your turn, perform... I forget what this status is actually called, but I can tell you what it does. It makes it so you take half damage from the next source of damage you receive. I think that could be an interesting way to make an off tank a little bit more survivable. I kind of think my like full-on tanks, this isn't that exciting an item for, because they want to be able to take like 4 hits in one turn. But my off tanks, well, they're not off tanks. My squishy characters really only need to be able to survive 1 hit. And if we ever perhaps get into a situation where we are taking more than 1 hit in the same turn, this would be nice on my Deathwalker, I think. Achilles does have, while we're occupying a hex with a shadow, all attacks targeting you gain disadvantage. And so making Achilles into a bit more of a tanky character is kind of appealing. I don't believe I have the ability to ignore -1 cards from items, though. So I'm probably never going to use armor. So there is a limit to how tanky I'm really going to make myself. That also, of course, costs resources, so -1 Corpse Cap and -1 Rock Root. We are allowed to share resources for brewing potions. And the last one is a Snow Thistle and an Axe Nut, which is these 2. Snow Thistle and Axe Nut makes an explosive vial. During your turn, an enemy within 2 range suffers 2 damage. That is fine and all. It sure doesn't deal very much damage. I'm gonna put it on my Bannerspear, and I think I'm gonna like default to having it available too. 2 damage is more than no damage, for sure. And this is a nice way to deal with situations where an enemy very nearly dies, but doesn't quite. You can just use this to finish killing it. It also goes through shield. Doesn't result in things retaliating against me. It's a ranged attack, so I don't have to be in the front line. All seems pretty good. I could give it to my Boneshaper as well. I think I'll regularly be within 2 range with my Boneshaper. That is all of the potion crafting that I intended to do. And the next thing I want to do is build a mining camp. So we're going to spend 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gold to do that. And we also need to spend 4 lumber, 2 metal, and 1 hide. So there's 2 metal, 1 hide. Who has all of the lumber? 1, 2. 3, 4. I'm gonna be, gosh, Slay the Spire does not have much items and has no materials now. But I'm gonna be really stingy around resources for my Drifter and Bannerspear because they are seeking merchant class and greed is good. So I want to kind of stack stuff onto them. There is a rule where I'm allowed to sell items for 2 gold for every material that went into crafting them. So a potion sells for 4 gold, so that's 12, 16, 20. This is actually 22 gold worth of items here. Plus 20 gold if I win my bet. I'm at 42 gold at the moment. I don't know if this sells for, well, I don't know what it sells for, to be honest. I'd have to check the rules. Maybe it sells for half price. That'd be kind of nice. Anyway, that's enough to build a mining camp. And when I build a mining camp, I gain 1 prosperity. And the thing the mining camp does is probably not much of a surprise to anyone. It lets me collectively buy up to 1 metal for 2 gold. So now I can spend 6 gold per week on buying all these resources. Fortunately, I think the other buildings I want to build don't cost as much gold. There's one wall. There's one wall that costs 10 gold that I can build right now, but the others require more prosperity than I have. And then upgrading buildings doesn't seem to require gold. It costs gold to put the building down the first time, but then after that, we can upgrade them without gold cost. So like next week, I might upgrade the craftsman, for example. Unless I want to upgrade it now. It costs me 2 morale. We get a prosperity for completing the mining camp, bottom right corner there, plus 1 prosperity. Oh, I could upgrade the craftsman now. Maybe I can't. 2 wood, 2 metal, and 1 hide. I have 3 wood. I see what I did wrong. I subtracted wood for boots instead of hides. Yeah, so actually I could upgrade the craftsman as well. I think, okay, first off, my morale is not like so high that I need to be spending it right now, is it? And then secondly, yo, what? Gain a hide? My town guard can make me resources? That's kind of cool. I don't know what the secondly was. Probably I need to make sure I actually have enough resources to build something after the next mission. That's probably what it was. Anyway, that's the town phase. I think it's pretty fun doing the town phase. Build everything up. We get to see the mining camp on the map now that didn't used to be there. That's pretty cool. This one you can tell as a sticker a bit more than the other ones, I feel like. Like it doesn't line up quite perfectly right there. I mean, it still looks really cool. All right, we're gonna bring our drifter back. I tried to roleplay the characters walking around the town and then got distracted by 700 things happening. Unearthed Horror should not be here. Should be here. And I think with that all done, we're ready to head out for another mission. So let's see. That was like 30 minutes. We can start a mission and do like at least the first room, I would say. Game setup. So maybe we refresh the scenario list because I feel like there should be more stuff unlocked. Yeah, definitely. But, oh, Algox Scouting is locked and shouldn't be here also, because I did the Algox Offensive instead of it. I want to head to the Crystal Trench because I am searching for robotic bolt throwers. That's what I'm going to be doing. And the first thing that I do on the way to a mission, you know, we had the rulebook, so why don't we use the rulebook again to demonstrate again? We select the scenario and resolve a road event if necessary. So first things first, let's do a road event. Summer road events map. You're hiking along the banks of a small creek when a spray of color draws your eye. Blood in the snow. You draw closer to the scene. Telltale black-red pools are already soaking into the snow and mud. You're no stranger to the aftermath of a hunt, and this doesn't look like someone took down game. From the amount of blood and disturbed snow here, you're pretty certain this was a fight. The blood trails off from the scene into the nearby copse of trees. Following it, you discover that the trail splits at the fork in the path. The blood trail continues to the left, though judging by the broken twigs and footprints, something also ran off to the right. I'm going to go to the left. Also, though, I really don't want to see what option B is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to like flip the card over down here, because option A is the left. So we'll go see if someone's in need of help, but I don't want to know what this event is if you go the other way. If I mouse over this, it's very hard not to see. Okay, you probably could have read that, but I didn't. As you follow the trail of blood, an arrow buries itself in a tree by your head. Ah! Hello. Thought you were them. A young Inox in a blood-stained blue cloak sits against a nearby rock nursing some heavy wounds. A load of undead got the drop on me. I was just about to go finish them off, he grimaces. If you can spare anything to brace this pain, I'll let you come help. I am meant to return one collective small item to the available supply and then add an event to the winter road deck. That is fascinating. So a collective small item, that would be one of these. I don't feel like this renewing potion does that much. I mean, honestly, it kind of does. It's pretty good. I have a death-proof charm. What doesn't do very much? Healing potion could be overkill, maybe. Maybe we say the healing potion's overkill. Ah, it's such a good potion, though. Maybe we just say, I don't care about the cure potion. Keep the healing potion, keep the poison vial. And return this to item supply. And the other part of the card said to add road event 36 to the winter deck. So over here, winter road events. We have some available cards. And we can go, I guess we search for 32. And without reading it, we will put it in there. All right, I just barely managed not to read anything there, I think. Cool. All right, I'm just going to make sure that 32 was the right number. Oh, it's meant to be 36. Okay. Remove that event. And I need to take out 32 and add 36. My bad. Okay, so that's something that could happen in winter, but I mean, it's still summer for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 outings. because this is the one at the start. Then we can read a scenario description. Scenario is complete when all characters have escaped. At the end of that round, read 54.4. There are hounds, polar bears, and snow imps. None of those are robotic bolt throwers. Each character adds 1/1 card to their attack modifier deck as the scenario effect. Seems less relevant here because so many of my characters are immune to scenario effects at this point. You travel east from Frosthaven, passing over the frozen wastes and into the Whitefire Wood, hoping to sort out the mystery of the wandering mechanical beings reported by South's scouts. You've heard of such contraptions before, but no one in the north seems capable of building such things. There's no place for delicate machinery up here, not where the air peels your heat away and frost can lock your weapon tight in its scabbard. Surely the scouts must have been mistaken. But machines aside, there are other sorts of creatures that do thrive in this climate, and one of them just dashed across your trail, wild hounds. You've been so occupied by your thoughts that you didn't notice them until just now, and there's movement all around you. An entire pack is stalking you, and now they're closing in like a vice. Your position is terrible. It's too narrow in this forest for a close fight, and there's hardly enough light to see by. You need to get out of here, so you run. The trail is thick with roots and stones and fallen trees. Still you run, and the wolves give chase, much more adept at moving through these woods than your group. Your shadows flicker between the thick brush, and their snarls are close. Suddenly there's daylight. You break out of the forest and into the open, the trees giving way to ice and snow. However, this escape wasn't quite what you'd hoped for. On either side of you stand great walls of ice and rock, and behind you the pack of beasts. It's an alley, a perfect place to funnel prey, and you just ran right into it. I'm not allowed to escape until all of the polar bears are dead. If any of my characters become exhausted, we lose. And each character adds a -1 card to their attack modifier deck. I have played this scenario before. I think I won. I don't actually remember. When door 1 is opened, we read a passage. What I remember happening is when we open door 1, hounds start coming in from the spawn point and chasing us. I remember it being a fun mission. I have just gotten so tired and realized that it's almost 1 a.m. So I know I said that I would play at least one room of this, but I think we will leave this episode at the town phase. And we are all set up for the start of the next mission next time. Look at the size of this thing. 16 health. Attacks for 5. Wounds you can't be stunned or immobilized. Actually, that isn't that bad. It doesn't have shield. And the imps are pretty tiny. 3 health on a non-elite snow imp. There are a lot of them, though. Anyway, I will be back next time with this mission. I guess we will not be killing 2 robotic bolt throwers, but maybe the mission after we will. Be well.